Ever wondered what it's like to have billions of dollars, fancy cars, and private islands? Now imagine losing it all in the blink of an eye. Get ready to dive into the world of the 10 richest gangsters ever. Their money will shock you, their methods will surprise you, and their downfalls will teach you why crime never pays. Most of these guys couldn't even enjoy 5% of their money before it all came crashing down. Let's see how high they climbed and how hard they fell. 10. Frank Lucas, the Harlem Kingpin. Did you see the movie American Gangster with Denzel Washington? That's the story of Frank Lucas. This guy was so rich, his money would be worth $530 million today. Lucas grew up in North Carolina but made it big in New York City. How did he do it? He was super smart about selling drugs. He cut out the middle guys and got his stuff straight from Asia during the Vietnam War. At his best, he said he made $1 million every single day. Can you believe that? Lucas was tricky. He used his family to help run things, calling them his country boys. But even the smartest criminals can't outsmart the police forever. In 1975, the law caught up with him. All that money couldn't save him from spending many years in jail. 9. Meyer Lansky, the mob's money man. Have you ever been to Las Vegas? Meyer Lansky helped make it what it is today. His money would be worth about $1.7 billion now. Lansky came to America as a little kid from Poland and grew up on the tough streets of New York. Lansky was super smart with money. He mixed legal and illegal gambling to make his fortune. He worked with famous gangsters like Lucky Luciano and even had a group of hitmen called Murder Incorporated. Yikes! But here's the crazy part, Lansky never went to jail for long. He was so clever that the police could never prove he committed big crimes. He lived to be 83 and died a free man in Miami Beach. 8. Anthony Fat Tony Salerno, Harlem's secret billionaire. Imagine a guy who looks like your messy uncle, always chewing on a cigar. Now imagine that guy being one of the richest gangsters ever. That was Anthony Fat Tony Salerno. His money would be worth $2.3 billion today. Salerno controlled illegal lotteries and drug selling in East Harlem. He was so powerful that a big magazine called him America's top gangster. But Salerno wasn't just a street guy. He had his fingers in construction and worker unions too. In the end, the police got him in a big trial with other mob bosses. In 1988, Salerno got sent to jail for 70 years. His story shows that even the most powerful bad guys can't hide from justice forever. 7. Griselda Blanco, the cocaine godmother. Did you know one of the biggest drug bosses ever was a woman? Meet Griselda Blanco, also called the Black Widow or the Cocaine Queen of Miami. Her money would be worth $2.5 billion today. Blanco was scary tough. She made $80 million every month at her best. But she was also super mean. People think she ordered hundreds of murders. She even had special underwear made with hidden pockets to sneak drugs. After 10 years in jail, Blanco was sent back to Colombia. 6. Carlos Lehder, the Colombian Connection. Remember the movie Blow with Johnny Depp? That was based on Carlos Lehder's life. His money would be worth $2.7 billion now. Lehder helped build the Medellin drug group with the famous Pablo Escobar. Lehder was clever. He used small planes to move drugs and even owned a whole island in the Bahamas as a stopping point. He was so rich that he once said he'd pay off all of Colombia's money problems. But it all fell apart when he got sent to jail in the US in 1987. Lehder spent almost 30 years in prison before getting out in 2020. His story shows how fast things can change when you're in the crime world. 5. Joseph Kennedy, from bootlegger to billionaire. You might know Joseph Kennedy's son, JFK. But did you know Joseph had a dark past? His money would be worth $3.3 billion today. Kennedy made his first big money by selling illegal booze during a time when alcohol was banned. Kennedy knew some pretty bad guys, like the gangster Frank Costello. But later, he tried to go legit. He put money in Hollywood movies and the stock market. He became one of the richest men in America and got into politics. Kennedy's story makes you wonder, can money from bad things ever really become good? It shows how some people can hide their shady beginnings behind nice-looking jobs. 4. Al Capone, the original gangster. You've definitely heard of this guy. Al Scarface Capone is the most famous gangster ever. His money would be worth $3.7 billion today. He ruled Chicago's crime world when alcohol was illegal, making $100 million every year. Capone did all sorts of bad stuff, selling illegal booze, gambling, and more. He liked to show off and talk to reporters. But he was also really mean. He ordered a famous killing called the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Even with all his power, Capone couldn't beat the law forever. But here's the funny part, it wasn't murder that got him, it was cheating on his taxes. He spent his last years sick in jail and at his house in Florida. Capone's story teaches us that even gangsters can't escape the tax man. 3. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the modern drug lord. You've probably seen El Chapo in the news for his crazy prison escapes. His money was worth over $5 billion. As the boss of the Sinaloa drug group, El Chapo sent tons of drugs to the US for years. Guzman was super creative. He used tunnels and even submarines to move drugs. He was so powerful that a big magazine put him on their list of most important people. El Chapo's money let him bribe officials and live like a king while running from the law. But his luck ran out in 2016. He got caught and sent to the US. Now, El Chapo is spending the rest of his life in a super secure prison. His story proves that even in today's world, crime doesn't pay in the end. 2. Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine. Everyone knows Pablo Escobar's name. He was the most famous drug boss ever. At his best, he was the 7th richest person in the whole world. His money would be worth over $62 billion today. In the 1980s, Escobar controlled 80% of all the cocaine sold around the world. He had so much cash that he spent $2,500 every month just on rubber bands to wrap his money. Escobar was so powerful that he even got elected to Colombia's government. But Escobar was also really violent. He bombed an airplane and killed people running for president. In the end, the police from Colombia and the US chased him down. Escobar died in a shootout on a roof in Medellin in 1993. His story shows how too much power can make people do terrible things. 1. The mystery spot. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Who do you think should be number 1? Is there someone even richer and more powerful than these gangsters that we missed? Or maybe you think one of the gangsters we talked about deserves the top spot. Think about it, who had the most money? Who had the most power? Who changed the world of crime the most? Or maybe you think the number 1 spot should go to someone who got away with their crimes the longest. We want to hear what you think. Leave a comment below with your pick for the number 1 spot and why you chose them. Let's see if we can figure out who was the biggest gangster of all time. So there you have it, folks. The story of the 10 richest gangsters ever. These guys had more money than most of us can even imagine. But look what happened to them. Most ended up in jail, on the run, or dead. Their families got hurt, their empires fell apart, and now we use their names as warnings. It just goes to show, crime might look cool in movies, but in real life, it never pays. All that money and power just led to fear, pain, and loss in the end. What do you think about these gangsters? Did any of their stories surprise you? And don't forget to tell us who you think should be number 1. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more crazy stories from history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way, you'll never miss our next exciting episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.